Pitch here on the SDH Network. I'm Madison Cruz. Joined with me is the voice of Atlanta United in Jason Longshore. We're here to get you ready for Atlanta United going on the road to face Cincinnati this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Jason, we talked about it earlier in Dispatch on Tuesday, just how insane this game's going to be. Going to TQL Stadium, it's a hard place to play, but also, too, you're going in an international break. You're missing a lot of those key pieces that you used to have on the field.
Yeah, and it's really hard to describe what it's going to look like on Saturday because Cincinnati has an issue with Miles Robinson due to possible injury. Does he play? Does he not play? We don't know. They're missing a center back due to red card suspension. They're not going to get Matt Miazga back for this one. They are going to get Nick Hagland, but he hasn't played since last summer in the first team level. So what Cincinnati looks like defensively, we have no idea. They also won't have Kevin Denke due to international call-up. Atlanta's attack is in pretty good shape with the exception of Miguel Almiron, but defensively, we don't know who's going to be at center back. And I thought it was really interesting today that Ronny Deila talked about the possibility of playing three center backs. And you might hear that and you might say, well, wait a minute, if you only have one center back in Derek Williams, how do you play three? The thing is, when you play three, you can have fullbacks play as center backs. Think of Steven Moreira with Columbus. Think of Ronald Hernandez, who is back in training. He's done that here with Atlanta United. You can almost get away with a fullback playing center back easier by playing an extra center back, if that makes sense. So that's a possibility. Cincinnati's changed their shape around. They might do the same thing. So it's one of those games that it's very hard to have a sense of what we're going to see on Saturday. It could be a really interesting, wild, chaotic, high-scoring game. It could be a game where neither team really gets a flow, and it's hard to get any kind of rhythm.
Also saw today, too, also key returners. Mateusz Klich did come out and do a little bit of training, Ronald Hernandez as well. And then you also saw a lot of twos players come up as well, training with the team, Ronan Wynn being among one of them as well. So we'll see what happens there, especially with who can come in, fill those positions, and then we'll see what happens on Saturday with the roster.
Yeah, you think of Ronan Wynn, especially, he was with the first team throughout the entire preseason, and he played some center back as well in preseason, along with playing fullback. So the international slot is the question. There are potentially roster mechanisms to make it to where he can be on the first team for this game, but we don't know exactly how all those rules and regulations work. It's going to be very, very fascinating to see who gets on the plane tomorrow, who gets to Cincinnati, and what that lineup looks like. But I think another point that Ronny Deila mentioned is it's one thing to be able to figure out your starting 11, but you have to think of how can we close the game out if we have the lead? How can we go and chase the game if we need to? What are those potential changes in-game personnel-wise? And what are those potential changes in-game from a tactical perspective as well?
Well, I think we've talked enough, so we'll go ahead and pass it to head coach Ronny Deila and Alexey Miranchuk as they talk to media today.
How do you think Alexey is performing so far? Is he fulfilling your expectations?
Yes, I think so. He can, of course, do more, but I think he looks sharper and sharper. I think he does a very important job defensively for the team, and at the same time also he's the guy that calms down the play when we're attacking as well. He can come into more situations maybe in the last third, but he's been involved in chances more than, and we created more chances than we did last year. But also we have conceded too much chances. So it's a little bit the opposite of what you can think when we say we haven't scored enough goals. We have conceded over 5 chances in average, and we have exactly the same in attacking. And that last year is the same number, but it was lower in both sides. Okay. So we need to be more effective in our chances. I think that's the good thing, that we are coming to chances, and we also want to create more chances. But also in the second half we have conceded too many chances. That's the main thing. So what I talk about then is like we played really well in 30 minutes now also in the game against Miami, and then it drops, and then I think it's something about the accumulation of load over time. And that we look more fatigue into the game. So that's not only physical, it's also mental. So that's why I talked about the things that I talked about after the game.
With such a strong up at the front with Latte, with Saba, Miggy, Alon, how do you find the balance of letting them play freely, do what they not want to do, be creative, but also trying to stick with it and find those connections and keep things going?
It's not nobody to play freely. Tell me what team does play everybody freely. You have freedom inside your role. but you need to have organization. If you don't have organization, nobody knows what to do. Everything is about knowing when I get the ball, I know what the other players are, and then you create relations. But nobody creates a relation in 2 weeks. It's going to take time, you know. So for me, it's first of all get discipline, understand your role, and when you understand your role, then you get freedom inside your role. But don't start to do everything and say you can play freely. Then I have nothing here to do, and then they can have the show their own. So that's for me. It's everything in life is coming from organization. That's in your job as well. If you don't know what to do and you go all over the place, then you will not have a relation with the other. You have to do your job. Others have to do their job, and you have to believe they are doing their job and trusting them. And then when you're doing that, then you start to understand. When I'm getting the ball, he's already on his way, and then the relation is coming, and that will come over time. But these guys have played 3 games together, and we think and there's 2 new players in a team that was playing there together last year and was in the level they were last year. So it will take time, but the frustrating for me is to see what kind of level we have in the games, and we end up with getting so little out of the games. That's why if I see that they outplay us, they are better than us, I was like, but I don't see it. Every game is even, and if we continue like we did in the first half, we do that over 2 halves, then I don't see how many are going to beat us. So it's up to us now to find those small things, to improvement, to get this team to click for 90 minutes instead of 35 or 45 minutes, because like in Montreal, we are so dominant, and then suddenly we end up 8-8 in goal chances, and we are lucky that we win. We don't beat New York, that's a team we should have beaten that time, you know. But now we conceded 8 goal chances against Miami. It's way too much, and that's because we lose the ball in an easy situation. And they are good, of course. They have some players that can hurt you. But I sit afterwards and think we should have something out of this game. So that's the frustration for me. That's why you can see that, you know. But at the same time, I need to be patient. And that is very difficult sometimes.
We're going to stick to our plan. We're going to play our game. So the tactical things and the offensive things, defensive things, it doesn't change, because no matter who's in the team, who's playing, who's coming in the game, he's gonna know what to do, offensively and defensively. So obviously it's a loss, but I think we're not only one team who's the players who's going in the national team. So I mean, there is no other option. So you can see too many young players in the team now. So make sure they are ready to step in. So it's important for them as well. Yeah.
How has it been this week, having a lot of those different players step into some of those roles for you guys?
I can see a little nervous, a little bit, but it's okay. It's normal. It's how it should be, and yeah, it's just you don't know what's gonna happen in the game during the game. So they have to be ready to prepare and be prepared.
Just me now as I kick Jason Longshore out to give you guys the broadcast information for Saturday's match. It's Cincinnati versus Atlanta United at 2:30 p.m. TQL Stadium. Myself and Abe Gordon will have the pregame show starting at 1:30 p.m. on 92.9 The Game. And then we'll toss it over to Mike Conti and Jason Longshore, who are going to be over in Cincinnati calling the match.